Welcome to another edition of the DFO Fantasy Show. It is Tuesday, December 16th, and I'm your host, Brock Seguin, managing fantasy editor of dailyfaceoff.com. And today, we've got fantasy hockey news and notes, Brock's lock of the day, and then we'll be taking another look at our buy low, sell high tool. We're going to identify players that you should be trading now to maximize value and players that you should be targeting in trades. Before we get into news and notes, I just want to apologize for the delay over the last week. I was traveling first, and then I got really sick and getting back in the saddle today. So hopefully you guys didn't miss me too much, but we are closing in on Christmas. So happy holidays to everybody. Week 11 of the fantasy hockey season already. Had some big trades go down over the last week or so. So a lot of things happening here in the fantasy hockey world, but let's start the episode with news and notes. We'll go to Tampa, where Brandon Hagel left Monday's game with an upper body injury and did not return. The Lightning did not have an update on him post-game, so consider him questionable for their next game, which would be obviously unfortunate. If he was to miss time, it's a team that's battled a lot of injuries, and Hagel has been playing extremely well as of late. In that same game, Gustav Forsling also left Monday's game with a lower body injury and did not return. He will be evaluated prior to their game on Wednesday against the Kings, so consider him questionable to play Wednesday. Then to Seattle, where Vince Dunn and Kaapo Kakko both missed practice on Monday due to illness, but both are expected to play on Tuesday, but I would consider them game time decisions and questionable to play tonight versus the Avalanche. Another questionable player tonight is Mikael Backlund, who's dealing with an undisclosed injury for the Flames. He left Saturday's game in Los Angeles with an undisclosed ailment and missed Monday's practice, so he's questionable to play Tuesday in San Jose. When you look at the lines that they had rolling, it does kind of look like they are preparing for life without Backlund this evening, but we shall see later today. In that same game, the San Jose Sharks, they placed Will Smith and Phil Kurashev on IR on Monday. So those two players will both have to miss at least 3 games, but neither was provided an actual timeline for their return. So Will Smith's obviously been playing extremely well. It's a big, big loss for Macklin Celebrini, big loss for the Sharks. He's going to miss at least 3 games. Let's go to Detroit now, where Patrick Kane, speaking of red hot, he has been absolutely spectacular as of late, but he will miss at least the next 2 games with an upper body injury that he suffered in Chicago on Saturday. So big loss there. That second line, Andrew Kopp, Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, they've actually outscored their opponents 12-0 since being put together this season, and big loss for the Detroit Red Wings. Now to Tampa. The Lightning hope to have Andrei Vasilevskiy return before Christmas. It looked like he was, kind of closing in on playing on Monday. That never actually happened. They started Jonas Johansson again. He lost to the Panthers, but they do think Vasilevskiy will still be back before the Christmas break. And the worst injury news of the weekend to Chicago, where the Blackhawks placed Connor Bedard on IR with the upper body shoulder ailment that he suffered against the Blues. He'll be reevaluated in the new year, which makes it sound like he's going to be sidelined forever. But realistically, that's only a couple of weeks away. So the good news is he will avoid surgery, so he's not going to be on the shelf for an extended period of time. But we still got to wait for an actual timeline here. So he's going to miss the next couple of weeks for sure, but was not placed on LTIR. So hopefully he'll be back before too long. That is going to do it for the news and notes. Now let's get to Brock's lock of the day. And this segment is a presentation of Betway. Join the action and download the Betway app. Create an account today and enjoy our sign-up bonus 18+, and please play responsibly. So our last Brock's lock was Patrick Kane over 0.5 point against the Vancouver Canucks. They won 4-0 in that game, and Patrick Kane did not record a point. I believe 10 skaters recorded a point for the Red Wings that night, and unfortunately, Patrick Kane was not one of them. So we've hit a bit of a slide here as of late, unfortunately, but still 17-13 on the season, plus 5% ROI. Not too bad. Let's head over to Betway today, where we've got our lock of the day as Rasmus Andersson plus 110 for plus 110 for over 2.5 shots on goal. Andersson has been firing absolutely everything as of late. He has hit this mark in 5 consecutive games, and during that stretch, he's averaging an absolutely robust 4.4 shots on goal per game. But get this, 9.4 shot attempts per game, just firing everything on net. And tonight, he'll face the San Jose Sharks team that has given up the 3rd most shots on goal and the 3rd most shot attempts over their last 10 games. So If Anderson's firing 9 shot attempts again tonight, I believe he'll surely get to 3+ shots on goal. So at plus 110, I really, really like this mark for Rasmus Andersson. So that's Brock's lock of the day. Rasmus Andersson of the Calgary Flames, 3+ shots on goal at plus 110. That's going to do it for Brock's Lock. Let's get to our buy low, sell high tool now, where we introduced this a couple of weeks ago. And it was very well received on YouTube. A lot of people really enjoyed going through all the data and seeing all the numbers and getting a rating, a buy low, sell high rating. So they was requested to bring it back, and so here we are. We will go through some of the buy low, sell high candidates, and the last time I kind of went through them and I just had no real plan. I was just like, let's talk about as many players as possible. Today, a little bit more structured, but you're still going to see the list of names on screen of all the players that rank very well in terms of sell highs, all the players that rank very high in terms of buy lows. So it wouldn't be a sell high episode. That's where we're going to start without Morgan Geekie. I've talked about this guy a ton as a sell high candidate. He continues to produce, but I still believe that this is a player that you absolutely must trade. We won't even start with the goal scoring. Let's start with the secondary assists. 61.5% of his assists have come secondary assists, which means that he's not really, being a great playmaker and not really something that you can forecast for the future. So, basically just 40% of his assists coming as a primary assist, basically 5 assists this year. So, secondary assists are great, and they certainly add up, but it just doesn't forecast future assists very well. So the assist production is pretty skeptical. And then the goal production obviously is just insane. 26.8% shooting percentage on the season. That's 6.9% higher than his shooting average over the last 3 seasons, which is crazy because he's averaging 20% over the last 3 seasons. So that's just insane to begin with. But then he also has an on-ice expected goals for above expected of 7.29, which is the 6th highest in the NHL. So not only is he scoring goals at a crazy clip, not only is he picking up a lot of secondary assists, but when he's on the ice, they're scoring a lot more goals above expected. Now, obviously, a lot of that has to do with him. The individual expected goals for above expected is at 7.81, which is the highest mark in the entire NHL. And it's not really close. Brad Marchand second. So basically, Morgan Geekie has been as fortunate as they come. It's been an incredible run, and obviously he's a good goal scorer. He's going to continue to score goals, but this rate, this clip that he's scored goals at for this year, this entire calendar year, has just been unbelievable. So I have a little bit of concerns about the assist production, which has been pretty modest to say the least, at just 13 assists in 33 games. But the goal production has just been wild. He currently sits, what is it? Tied for second alone in the NHL in goals. So certainly somebody you can sell high on. I wouldn't hesitate to try to do so. I've talked about him before. I'm not going to talk about him too much longer because, just all the numbers suggest this just certainly is far, far, far from sustainable and a player that I'm certainly still looking to move on from. You see here, we got Justin Brazeau, Tyler Bertuzzi, Andre Burakovsky, John Klingberg, Marcus Johansson, like all these guys, good sell highs. We're not going to talk about them. They're barely even rostered. Bertuzzi, I still think, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. I still think he's a good sweetener for a deal. I think you could throw him in. He's been really productive on the power play. Scored a lot of goals, especially now with Connor Bedard out. His production's surely to drop off. So if you could get anything for him right now, I would certainly be looking to move him. But the next name we're going to really focus on here is Brad Marchand. Now, when you look at the assist production here, the assist production looks very sustainable for Brad Marchand. The only concern for him is the goal scoring. He has scored shot at 21%. 21.8%, which is 7.3% higher than the last 3 years. And his individual expected goals for above expected is the second highest mark in the NHL at 5.6. So he's been very fortunate. He should probably be sitting with about 13 goals, 16 assists, which still 29 points in 31 games is really good. It's at least solid. You'd be happy with it, especially where you drafted him. But I think that's what you need to look at Marchand as, is kind of like just slightly below average, or slightly below a point per game, pretty good assist, pretty good goal production, and try to move him for something a little bit better than that. Try to take advantage of the raw numbers, because on the surface they look phenomenal. He's been really, really good. So I would be trying to acquire somebody that's just around a point per game player. And he's one that, like, I'm not just selling high on to sell high, because like I said, I do think the assist production is pretty sustainable. The goal production is probably going to take a hit here in the near future. So Marchand is my second sell high right now. Definitely a guy that I'm going to try to move for a really good piece. It doesn't have to be just anybody, but I do think that the goal production is certainly to drop here shortly. Next, we got a couple Anaheim Ducks. We'll start with Leo Carlsson. Which has been a tremendous season. We talked about him a lot preseason. We talked about him a lot early in the season. And now it's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, it's time to cash in your investment, because he's been great for our fantasy teams thus far. But I just don't know how long this is going to last. Couple of red flags. First of all, he's shooting 20%, which is very high in its own right, but it's 5%, nearly 5% higher than his career average. So yeah, I just, I think he could probably, he seems like a player that's going to maintain, a 15, 16% shooting percentage, but it's really difficult to maintain 20% over the course of an entire season. So Leo Carlsson, I'm really worried about the goal scoring. And then the on-ice goal scored above expected. It's really high for a lot of these Anaheim Ducks, and Leo Carlsson is one of them. He's 19th in the NHL in terms of on-ice goals scored above expected. And then individually, he has got the fourth most goals scored above expected individually. So maybe some issues in the goal scoring department moving forward. I think the assist production could drop a little bit, and Leo Carlsson looks like a great player to try and move on from. Now, I will say, like, this is speaking mostly from a redraft perspective, right? Like, long term, I think Leo Carlsson in keeper and dynasty formats is an absolutely splendid play, and somebody that you should keep rostered in those formats. And obviously, like, you could still cash in your investment in those formats as well, right? If you can trade him for a really, really good piece, I wouldn't hesitate to do so. Somebody that, has a similar profile in terms of being young and a really bright future ahead, and on a similar upward trajectory. But in redraft formats, especially, Leo Carlsson, somebody I'm looking to move on from it. And the same goes for his teammate, Cutter Gauthier. Identical case. In redraft formats, he's somebody that I would not hesitate to try to move. Again, when we say sell high, we're trying to acquire great assets in return, right? We're not just trading a guy with 18 goals and 36 points in 33 games for nothing. We're trying to acquire other great assets. But if you can get somebody to take a swing on Cutter and redraft, certainly somebody that I would be looking to move on from. So we talked about the on-ice expected goals for numbers here. He's got the most goals scored above expected when on ice this season in the NHL. Him and Rupe Hintz by far and away the most goals scored above expected in the league. And then on an individual basis, he is sixth highest in individual goals scored above expected. So been very fortunate in terms of the goal scoring numbers, in terms of the assist numbers. He seems to be getting the bounces going his way. And if you can cash him in now, I think you can get a massive return for Cutter Gauthier. I really do. So I like looking to move on from him again in redraft formats. I love the shot volume from Cutter Gauthier. I think that if I had to pick, I would probably trade Leo Carlsson first, Cutter Gauthier second, because Cutter Gauthier, like, as fortunate as he's been, third most shots in the league. With that kind of shot volume, you're going to score a lot of goals still. So he's the one I'm a little bit more hesitant on. I would certainly be looking to move Leo Carlsson first. Cutter Gauthier, I would have to get a really, really good return for him. I think maybe like a name that I would offer this trade for is like Alex DeBrincat, because their profiles are very similar in terms of the shot production, in terms of the raw numbers. The only difference is that DeBrincat's numbers look a little bit more sustainable. You take a look at Cutter Gauthier, 11.6 goals scored above expected on ice, where DeBrincat's actually minus 7.7 with almost identical numbers. Gauthier, 4.6 goals scored above expected, where DeBrincat is basically rated in line with his individual expected goals numbers. So they, on the surface, look very similar, but one of their productions is a lot more sustainable than the other. So that is a name that I think I would just be like, hey, let's fire up Cutter Gauthier for Alex DeBrincat in redraft leagues. And I think that you could get that trade to be accepted. And I think that moving forward, Alex DeBrincat looks like a better option going forward than Cutter Gauthier does in redraft formats. This next name is it's never easy to say trade Sidney Crosby, but trading Sidney Crosby looks like a prudent play right now, mostly because he is shooting 25%. That is not something that Sidney Crosby does. Over the last 3 years combined, he's shot 16.2%. So 8%, nearly 9% higher than what he shot over the last 3 years combined. His individual goals scored above expected is the 8th highest in the league. So he has been very fortunate in the goal scoring department this season. It's not something that's going to continue. This is not a guy that throughout his career has scored, at an incredible clip and shot at a very high shooting percentage. It's just not something that Sidney Crosby has done. He scores goals for sure, right? Like he had 42 goals a couple years ago. He has 30 goals in 1, 2, 3, 4 straight years, but he's shooting 14.7% for his career. He's shooting 25% this year. So, if you take 10% off that shooting percentage, the goal production drops pretty quickly. So, yeah, he's a big name. People love Sidney Crosby. The shooting percentage just is not sustainable for him right now. So right now seems like a great time to try to move on from Sidney Crosby. Obviously, again, you're trying to get a great return. The assist production is solid. Basically an assist every other game. It's very similar to what we've seen from Sidney Crosby over the years. In fact, the assist production is probably down a little bit. So yeah, if the goal scoring dries up a little bit here, I think that you're going to be a little disappointed moving forward. So love what he's done thus far. Like in the fact that Sidney Crosby is sitting, what is it? Tied for 5th in the NHL in goals. I mean, Brad Marchand and Sidney Crosby tied for 5th. Nobody really saw that coming. But yeah, just shooting way too high of a percentage for my liking moving forward. Tom Wilson is next. And Tom Wilson has had a really good year. He's had a really good calendar year. And, this is a guy trying to play his way on a Team Canada. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But definitely brings a physical brand of hockey to the team, and the offensive production has been great. The problem for him, again, similar to Sidney Crosby, is he is shooting 24.3%, which is 7.6% higher than the last 3 years, and just does not look sustainable. The real concern for him as well is the IPP has been around 60 for his career. If you're not familiar with IPP, it's individual points percentage. So it's the percentage of points you get on the goals that are scored when you are on the ice. So for his career, that is around 60%. 60% of the time a goal is scored, he picks up a point. It's up to 72, almost 73% this year. It's just not sustainable. It's not usually something that takes a big jump like that. It is sustainable. So I do have concerns about Tom Wilson. Over 50% of his assists coming in the secondary variety. So I do think those assist numbers are going to dry up a little bit. So I do have concerns there. I think obviously the goal scoring is a bit of a concern just because I don't think he's going to shoot 25% for the whole season. The IPP is probably not going to continue to hover at 73%. So I think both of those are likely to dry up. Obviously in bagger formats, he's probably still a hold, right? Like you're not going to just get rid of him when he's scoring and picking up assists and hitting everything that moves. But if you own him in standard formats, which everybody does, he's 93% rostered. I think it's just a good sell high candidate right now. And then the last name we're going to talk about, not really a guy that you're going to get a huge return on individually, but I think Brock Nelson is a really nice sweetener in a trade right now, mainly because he's red hot. After a really cold start to the season, he has 16 points, including 9 goals in his last 16 games. But during that stretch, he has shot 28.1%. He's shooting 21.4% for the season, which is 7% higher than his career rate or his rate over the last 3 years. And his 4.12 goals scored above expected is the 9th highest mark in the NHL. So I do have concerns that we're going to see him continue to score goals at this clip. And yeah, I just think, like, again, he's at 47% rostered. I don't think that Brock Nelson individually is going to garner a big return. But if you add him to a deal and make it a 2-for-1 or a 2-for-2 where you're getting the better players back in return, I think Nelson is a really nice sweetener right now. But again, individually doesn't have a ton of value. Okay, I want to bring up some let's bring up the buy lows here first. I've got a hilarious chart that I want to show you for Brady Tkachuk, because what we've seen from Brady Tkachuk here as of late is hilarious. I mean, now he grades out as our number one buy low, and that is even with 11 points in 12 games. But the reason he does grade out so well is because he has just 2 goals on the season, which is not something that we're used to seeing from Brady Tkachuk. Now, take a look at him all by himself in this top right-hand quadrant. So these are players with high XG, but high goal scored below expected. So in terms of his kind of raw data, he's shooting just 4.1% on the season, which is 5.6% below. He's not a guy that shoots a higher percentage as it is, but at just 4.1%, it should be better than that. But even with just 12 games played on the season, he has the 11th most goals scored below expected, which is crazy. But on a per game basis, it is the most, and it's obviously not close. If you take a look at this chart, like he is by far and away all by himself up here in the top right-hand quadrant. So Brady Tkachuk, I think, is a very interesting case right now. Obviously, in leagues where, in banger formats and stuff, like he is going to be a little bit harder to pry away from owners because he does so much. The shot volume is insane, and the hit volume is spectacular. So in those formats, I think you're going to have a bit of a trickier time. But in more standard formats, like with just 2 goals in 12 games, I do think you got a pretty good chance to buy him low. And I do think, obviously, the goal production is going to come here. And man, this chart is just too funny. Like, just all on his own in that top right-hand corner. So yeah, really like Brady Tkachuk right now as a buy low. He grades out as the best buy low overall. Next is Jesper Bratt. And we're probably a month away before we see Jack Hughes back in the lineup. And Jesper Bratt with Nico Hischier and Timo Meier when he was healthy, or when he was in the lineup, were really, really good. But Bratt has been very unfortunate so far this season. He has a 16.4 on-ice goals scored below expected. That is the 3rd worst mark in the entire NHL. 5 of which or individual goals scored below expected, which is the 4th worst mark. So in terms of just the on-ice data and the individual data, there has hardly been a player more unfortunate than Jesper Bratt this season. 65.2% of his assists have been of the primary variety as well. Primary assists are usually a great indicator of future assists, right? It means you're making that last pass before the goals. It means you're usually doing a good job setting up goals. And 65% is a nice clip. And Jesper Bratt is a great passer, a great playmaker. So when this number, the on-ice, the actual goals catch up to the on-ice expected goals numbers, you're going to see a big influx of points for Jesper Bratt. So I really like him. I think he's got a little bit more goal scoring upside as well, right? He's shooting just 8% this year. Not a guy that shoots a super high percentage, but I think that's what makes him a very easy buy low right now. Just 6 goals in the season. I think that clicking on him, his owners probably aren't hesitating to move on from Jesper Bratt, but the underlying metrics suggest things are going to get a lot better. And buying low right now, especially while Jack Hughes is out, is a good opportunity. And then when Jack Hughes returns, I think this team can start to get going a little bit again offensively. But like I said, Bratt and Hischier have been fine together. I think that once Meier's back as well, that line will start going again. I do think that those actual XG numbers will catch up to the actual goal numbers will catch up to the XG numbers a little bit there. Let's stick with the Devils because we're going to talk about his line mate Nico Hischier now as well, because I think both of them are in a great spot. I would prefer Bratt probably just because of the wing eligibility, but Hischier grades out as a really good buy low as well. So similarly, not surprised, they played a lot together. The on-ice expected goals scored below expected numbers, 12th worst in the NHL. And on an individual level, 5 goals scored below expected is the 5th worst in the NHL. So both of these guys, terrible puck luck so far this season. So the assist numbers, the goal scoring numbers, certain to improve. Just shooting 13%, which isn't low, but he's a guy that shot 60% over the last 3 years. So the goal scoring, the assist numbers should improve here for Nico Hischier moving forward. Excuse me. I like him and Jesper Bratt as buy low candidates right now because I do think the Devils will get going here offensively. And obviously, getting Jack Hughes back in the next month will help. Nazem Kadri is next. And Kadri is grades out as our sixth best buy low. He has just 6 goals this year, which is crazy when you think about where does he rank here? 13th in the NHL in shots on goal. And he has 6 goals on the season. Like that's everything you need to know right there. He is shooting 5.7%. That's horrific. That's barely half of his career average. So a guy that you would typically expect to shoot right around 10, 11%, barely shooting, not even shooting 6% this year. That is the beginning of it. Then you got, obviously, with that, the goal scoring numbers, the individual expected goals for below expected is the worst mark in the NHL this year. The only player worse on a per game basis is Brady Tkachuk. So you've got Brady Tkachuk all up here by himself. Nazem Kadri, would be kind of laughably, by himself if it wasn't for Tkachuk. Nico Hischier's up there as well. Jesper Bratt's over here. So you can see all these guys kind of in their own little quadrant. You've got Kadri, you've got Tkachuk, you've got Hischier, you've got Bratt, Anders Lee's up there, Jordan Eberle, Clayton Keller, Rickard Rakell. Anyways, another great buy low. I like Nazem Kadri a lot. I really, really don't think that he will cost a ton in the trade market. And if you're a team that, let's say you just lost Connor Bedard and you're in need of a center right now, Nazem Kadri is the perfect target to go after. A couple more names to get to here. Clayton Keller is next. And on the surface, Keller's numbers don't look that bad. 10 goals, 28 points, 34 games. Just not what we've come to expect from him and not where he was drafted. But I think there's a lot of reason to expect a better season moving forward. Shooting just 10.5%, which is 3% worse than he usually shoots. The biggest drop, or seventh biggest drop in the NHL in terms of IPP over the last 3 years to this year, 15%. A guy that's operated around 77%. That just shows how good he is. One of the, it's a very high rate, and that's what good players can sustain. Elite level players down to 62%. He's good enough where that's going to change. That is going to improve. So you've got that where he's going to see a little bit more puck luck and he's going to start getting more secondary assists, where right now just 44% secondary assists. He's going to start picking up those just kind of random helpers, and that's going to go a long way. The 7.8% goal scored below, or 7.8 goals scored below expected isn't like a crazy egregious number, but it's just another number that showcases he could see a little bit more puck luck moving forward. And then the individual goal scored below expected is 12th worst in the league. So there's so much to suggest that Clayton Keller is due for better days ahead here in both the goal scoring and the assist category. So I love Clayton Keller as a buy low. And similarly, Mitch Marner. Now, Marner is a bit of a trickier case in Vegas because the shot volume is down a bit. But even if you take his current shot volume and his career shooting percentage, he could still score at his pretty typical 25-goal pace rest of the way, which is nothing to get super excited about. But when you factor in 25 goals with his elite level assist production, that's good enough. Now, the assist production should definitely remain elite. He's got a 69.2 primary assist rate right now, which is amazing. Now, I think part of that, though, has to do with the fact that he's just not getting a lot of puck luck in terms of the secondary assists. So he's obviously an elite playmaker. We know that. But he should definitely start to see some more secondary assists. So 26 assists in 31 games, that could go up, which is scary. It's incredible. Because his IPP has dropped 11%. He's a guy that's, again, similar to Keller, north of 70% for the last 3 years, down to 60% this year. So he's going to start to pick up some more secondary assists here in the second, or last 2/3 of the season. And he could be a guy that, like, honestly could get to like an assist per game and be like an 80 assist player. And if he finishes with like a 25 goal pace from here on out, it's going to be really, really nice production for Mitch Marner. So I think, like, similar to Jesper Bratt, people are going to look at him with just 6 goals and not hesitate to trade him. So I think that he is a good one as well. And then just one more. The numbers just made me laugh, so I had to talk about him. Mackenzie Weegar, man. 22 goals scored below expected in terms of the on-ice data this year, which is just unfathomably bad. It is so, so bad. And as a result, like, he makes so much sense. I want to pull up another chart here because it's just laughably bad for him as well. Bring it over here. So this is Mackenzie Weegar up here all by his lonesome. 22 goals scored below expected is insane. Now, Mackenzie Weegar's not a guy that's going to put up insane point totals, but he is a guy that averages over 2 blocks and 2 hits per game and is an absolute dog in those extended formats. But I still think that owners are probably don't care as much if he's not doing anything offensively. And he has just 7 points in 33 games. So I think it's a good time to try to buy low on Weegar in those extended formats. In more standard formats, I don't think the offensive production is going to get there to the point where he's going to be super valuable in standard formats. But in those extended formats, man, he has tons of value already. And if the point production improves, which it should, because he has 22 goals scored below expected while he's on ice this year, by far the worst mark in the league. 6 goals more below expected than Dougie Hamilton, who's the second worst. But then you factor in that he's shooting just 2.7%. That's a 4% decrease. He also, his IPP has dropped from 43% to 30%. That's a 13% decrease. Basically, everything that could have gone wrong for Weegar so far this year has gone wrong. So if you can add him in those extended formats where he's going to be just an absolute dog for your team, and the offensive production starts to improve, maybe it's a little bit of, you take a look, it's just all flames here, right? Weegar, Coronado, Huberdeau, Kadri, it's all their top players, just not finishing at the level we expect them to, or that the expected goals numbers suggest they should. And I think a little bit more offense is coming their way here in the second 3/4 of the season here. Second 2/3 of the season here. So yeah, I think that he's in an interesting spot in those extended formats as a buy low. But that is going to do it. As I did last time, I will share the link to this document in the comment section of the video on YouTube so that you can check it out and sift through all of the data yourself. We've got the buy low and sell high sheets. You can sift through, figure out who's on your team that you should be buying, selling high on, or who in your league you should be buying low on. But again, apologies for the delay between episodes. I'm happy to be back. We have another episode coming tomorrow, Waiver Wire Wednesday with Beebs. And then on Thursday, we'll obviously have the weekend streamers with our guy, Dylan Berthium. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the subscribe and like button if you're watching on YouTube. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Thanks for watching this video. If you want more great fantasy hockey and betting content from myself, Carter Hutton, Matthew Barnaby, and the rest of the DFO analysts, make sure you subscribe to the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel today and never miss a minute.